Hello everyone, welcome to a new tutorial, and today I'm going to show you how to create disruptors. Now you might be wondering how to create them, like say for a Star Wars TIE fighter or perhaps a Star Trek Klingon bird of prey, but I have been recently doing some new Star Trek Intrepid stuff, and disruptors were one of the main things that I had to get going, and I've never done them before, but I've actually come up with a, I think, nice way that looks pretty good, and I've also had some requests, of how to create, photon torpedoes, quantum torpedoes, disruptors, phasers. So I know I've already done the phasers one, so I thought, okay, the next best tutorial will be the disruptors, since I've had quite a few requests for that. Right, so as always, we're going to start from scratch, so clear scene if you haven't done so. Now what we've got to do, go to the items tab, and then we've got to create our dynamic object. In this case, it's a particle emitter. You either keep that name or give it a name if you're using several ones. Now once you click OK, you get this emitter setup field, but I just click that away, and I normally use my own. Right, so make sure you've got emitter selected, and then you go to the properties, and then in properties go to dynamics, double click on this one here, and you've got the same setup field here, but I think you've also got a few more options right then. So what we need to do now, because I'm doing this all from memory, because we're only creating one particle, so basically one shot, we've got to change this to 1. Now we want to generate this by frame. Now the most important part is whenever you set a keyframe, doesn't matter if it's rotation or position, whatever it is, as we're going to set this up so that as soon as any keyframe is set, the particle will shoot another bolt. So again, that's why we want to have it generated by a keyframe. So as soon as the keyframe's set, it will shoot one of those particles. All right, now size, we don't want it changing, so we go size, no change, and key, we want to have it so every time a keyframe is set, so that's when it all happens. We'll go to the particle setting, and we've got to make sure that we have particle weight set to 1000, very important, otherwise we're not going to get the desired effect. And 60 frames lifetime is a bit too short for the scenes I've been working with. I generally work with 250, and you can also go show size. Now the actual glow won't be as big as this. This is just to basically show you how in the scene the particle is, so it's pretty close to the camera, but the actual glow will only be about here, and we'll see that later. I go to the motion tab. Velocity is okay, just got to make sure that this is going down along the z-axis, and we should set this to 100 meters. There's nothing else to set. Right, so now that we've got that done, we now have to go into the coloring. So select Windows and go to Hypervoxels, and that's our particle, and just double click to activate it, so you've got a cross-off check mark there. Right, so first thing we want to do, because that's something I always forget, is set it to sprite. That's actually going to make, well, instead of make it a dot, it's going to make it a long, nice line. Right, now we've got to change the particle size. Now again, this is going to depend heavily on your scene setup and how big your object is. I'm just going to choose 300 millimeters, because that's generally what I work with, especially for the models I use. And stretch amount, we can go to velocity. Generally it's set to none, but again we need to have it stretch in the direction it's going to be fired off to. And again, show particle, there you go, see, this is what I mean. The glow is not as big as the actual particle itself, but for my scenes it's actually just right. And I've also been playing around with this a bit, so I've already set it to green, change it to any color you want. And also make sure that luminosity is 200%, the default is 100, so that it glows a bit stronger, but not unrealistically. And again, just make sure you've got a light selected for this, otherwise it's not going to work. I generally just use the scene light in there. And we can set a texture. I actually just use the default in here, which is it works wonderfully, and that's about it. Right, so now that we've actually got our particle set up, now we've got to take care of the motion bit. Right, now normally I would load a mesh right now, but just to keep this video short as possible, I'm not going to do that right now, but if you watched any of my previous videos, you should know how to do that. Right, so I'm just going to go through quickly where you actually find it. So if you go to Setup, and then motion options, you've got to make sure you've got your emitter selected. Now if you had another ship in here, you would say parent it to, and then whatever your ship is as an object, and that would be it. And basically the particle would then be attached to the ship, and wherever the ship goes to, that's where the particle would go as well. I'm going to show you at the end a video that I made for a Star Trek Intrepid scene that's hasn't been released yet, and I'll just show you a very short clip of that. Alright, so now we're going to move our emitter slightly. As you can see, it's already fired off a shot, because we obviously set one right at this keyframe here. So you can see it's already firing one off. So if I just press return twice. There we go. Set a keyframe. Like I said, I haven't really done anything. It's just basically set a keyframe for move, but I haven't moved the actual emitter. It's just, see, it's just firing off another shot. So I set one there, and set one there, maybe set one there, and set one there. And as you can see, it's firing off several shots at once. And now you can obviously imagine if you move it up a bit, it's already set another one, so it'll fire off another key. And so just double click on that, set it a bit higher. Double click again, so now it's firing off some more. So you've got some firing down here, the emitter is going up. So just imagine the ship flying upward or something like that, or the turret is moving, you know, see, so it's firing on off there. Create another one here, and it's firing off another one. So basically you can 100% control whenever it's supposed to fire something. Now if you clone this, obviously then it looks like your turret might be firing 2 shots at once, which can be quite nice, especially if you're trying to recreate the USS Defiant phaser pulse weapons, as it were. And yeah, so basically this is what one of my scenes looks like.